good morning, good morning, and welcome to another edition of the Brothers of Legacy. I am your host with the most, A.D. Walker. I appreciate you guys rocking with us and hanging with us. Um, I was having some trouble with Flocknote this morning. So let's see. Let's do this. Do this. All right. So it's not letting me sign on. So I appreciate you guys rocking and hanging with us this morning. We're going to have an amazing conversation. And while I look, I pray all is well with everybody. Just make sure you share. Sharing is caring. Make sure you let everybody know that AD is in the building. Good morning, Ms. Johnson. Great morning, Cheryl. Thank you for hanging and rocking with us. Ooh, I appreciate you this morning. So make sure you share. Sharing is caring. Let's do this. Let's see. I think my hair is acting kind of funky this morning, but it's all good. It's all good. It's all good. So let's see. So today we are talking about what up, Richard? Good morning. Good morning. Good morning. Good morning. Like I said, make sure you share. Sharing is caring. Today we're talking about what does being a man mean? We're going to be digging. It's going to be probably a 2-3 day conversation. Today, it's probably just going to be moi hanging. So let's see. Do this. So I appreciate you guys. Forgive me for being sort of, where's the crew? Oh, yeah. Folks is off working, handling some business. Yes, it's just, it be like that sometimes. So it might just be me today. Sometimes it's how the ball bounces, but it's all good because I is ready. So hopefully you don't mind hearing this voice for the next maybe 45 minutes as I break some things down. Appreciate you. We have a good conversation. And if you have questions or concerns, or we can have a good interaction today, because it's real in the field. It's real because we always hear about definitions of men and what's a man and what a man should be doing, and it's kind of funny how that's not what I wanted. All right, let's see. Sorry, guys. Trying to share to the. Didn't send out my link for my. There we go. All right. All right. All right. So back here. So make sure you guys share. Make sure you guys connect with others. Tag somebody that should be in this conversation, because I'm sure you've talked about it. And we can discuss, what does a man mean, or being a man really mean? What does it mean? What doesn't it mean? There's all these misconceptions surrounding men, and some of the things we were taught as men that do not really necessarily apply, and what it means to be a man. And it's always that term, real man. What's a real man? But it's only being a man. And we're going to discuss that, dig into that. And I'm looking for your input as we get into this conversation, because there's so many people defining what a man means. You got the high value man and all of that. All right. So we're going to dig in. I appreciate you guys being here. Another edition of the Brothers of Legacy. And we're going to have some fun today. All right. All right, y'all. So sit back, hang tight. We'll be right back. All right. Good morning. Good morning. Good morning. And welcome to another edition of the Brothers of Legacy. All right. Welcome back. All right. So let's get into it. Having a contender. Blessings. Hey, Lisa. Good morning. Good morning. Good morning. We appreciate you guys for being here. Again, make sure you share. Sharing is caring. Thank you for being a part. If you're on YouTube, make sure you subscribe. If you're on Twitch, make sure you subscribe. Make sure you're on Facebook, make sure you're following. And if you want to continuously catch all the episodes of the Brothers of Legacy, make sure you join our community. Text LWN to 84576. Text LWN to 84576. And never miss an episode of anything on the Legacy Walker Network, from the Brothers of Legacy to the Sisters of Legacy to Purposed for Forever. All right. So make sure you do that as well. Thank you, Miss Lisa, for always sharing. Sharing is caring, and for being a part of this magnificent work that we are doing online, that we're pushing towards your neighborhood and doing more in the community. COVID is kind of making things a little more challenging. But so we're going to dig into what does being a man really mean? And I'm going to talk about, from, of course, my perspective, those that I've had the opportunity of connecting with and hearing their stories as well. So it's going to be a few perspectives. Nothing's ever definitive. Nothing's ever everybody. But we are going to get into some basics about what a man should be doing and how he should be handling family, community, economically, work as well, and things of that nature. So let's get into it. All right. So to me, growing up, my example was my dad. And one of the things, if anything, that I got from him was work, the power of work, the power of consistency when it comes to working and providing. That was like one of the biggest lessons or biggest things that I got from him. No matter what happened, he was always at work. I spoke about him struggling with alcoholism, but it never stopped him from providing. It never kept him from doing more. It never hindered what he gave into the family, as far as providing or work and things of that nature. And that was one thing, to always persevere, being able to persevere regardless, being able to take care of business, even if you have your own hindrances or issues. Provider, father, discipline, strength, doing equal share, of chores. When it came to chores, though, one thing my dad didn't do inside chores. That was, I guess, an unspoken rule, or spoken maybe years before my birth. But my dad didn't do anything in the inside. He always handled the outside, from the gardening to the mowing of the lawn to whatever was outside. That was his realm. Whatever was inside was my mother's realm. And whatever they told me to do, I had to do. So that was it. But yeah, so one of the main things, and even so, we always get back to the God principle of following Christ to really know how to be a man. And in Genesis, the first thing a man was given was work. So work or purpose is one of the foundations for being a man. What is your purpose? What is your focus? What are your goals? Where are we going? Because it's not enough just to exist, but to have a goal and know what you're going after as a man. Because if you're leading, where are you leading your household towards? Where are we leading us to? It should always be a working goal. So work or purpose is like one of the things that I had to learn. And honestly, like, for a bigger part of my life, going into adulthood, I kind of was just kind of living day to day. I went to work, always provide. I was never that dude that never worked, because it always didn't feel right. Never felt right. If anything, not having my own money was like, how can you walk around without your own money? But to work and to have the disciplines of work was my main goal. But not just work, having purposeful work was one of the things I had to discover later on. Knowing that there's, you have those moments in your life and like, there's got to be more to life than just work. There's got to be more to life than just the day-to-day humdrum of just getting through. You've got to, as a man, you have to be in a purposeful mindset to be doing more, and like I said, as a believer, We are called to do more. We are called to serve. We are called to give. We are called to build. And so our life has to be purposeful. And like I said, you cannot lead unless you know where you're going. And you can't know where you're going unless you have some level of purpose or understanding of what you're trying to get to or what you're trying to create. And that's the whole definition of having a help me to help you achieve these purposes. So first thing is having work, having purpose in your life in order to achieve certain goals. The next one will be being responsible, right? Having the responsibility of all that God has placed in your life, placed in your lap, meaning the things as far as your household, the purpose that you have, the work that you have, the things that you've gotten to your possession, being responsible for those things, and not leaning or blaming someone else for the fall or the breakdown or something. Now, of course, if someone has something, you give your kids a charge to do something. Yes, you can hold them accountable, but in the end, you are responsible. You understand what I'm saying? So it's not enough. It's never enough to just put it all on them, but you have to accept the responsibility of fixing, cleaning, changing, or doing, because, a lot of times as a man, there's people that never take responsibility for anything. It's always everybody else's fault. I will say I've never been in that phase. One mic, right? I've never been in a space where I blamed everybody for stuff that I was responsible for. There were maybe moments of excuse, but I've never been in that space where, it was everybody else but me. Maybe I've not taken full responsibility like I should, but I never was the one to push it all on something else or someone else. In the end, I would take that L. What's up, Cheryl? Good morning. Good morning. So that was always my space and how I handle things. The next part, which probably was the biggest for myself, was accountability, right? Being accountable. So there's a difference. So there's being responsible, watching over, making sure, being accountable for my actions, for the things that I do, being accountable to someone. Outside your parents, we never get into a space of being accountable. We never, I hate saying I'm not never, but it takes a while unless you've really been disciplined or used to it, having a coach or having someone over you to watch what you do, watch where you go, to hold you accountable to your goals, to hold you accountable for your actions, to check you on things, even in your own household, how are you handling stuff? Someone comes to you and complains about what's going on in the house. And, my question is, what are you doing? How have you caused this to happen? What's the accountability factor with you when it comes to this particular situation? Having that accountability is definitely a big factor. It's definitely a big factor. We too much as men, sometimes we don't have anyone holding us accountable, which is never a good thing. What's up, Mama Corey? Because we get caught up in just our own head and our own things, and we feel like we're right all the time. And if we have someone accountable that can hold us to the actions that we take, we can get some perspective. Someone can give it an outside perspective on the actions that we're doing, because too many times if we're not being checked or someone's not checking us, then we can get out of control with what we do. In this space, we have to understand that what we do every day matters, right? And if someone is holding us accountable to the things that we do, then it keeps us from going off track with our goals and the things that we're achieving, the things that we are creating, the things that we are becoming. So that accountability is huge. It's a big factor. So that third one, the accountable piece is very important. Very important, because we went through the work, which is having the purpose, being responsible, and then being accountable. being accountable, because what part did you play? What did you do in creating or developing or destroying what God has placed in your hands? That is huge. That accountability part is the space that a lot of us men fall through the cracks, not being accountable for the actions that we take, for the things that we do, for the decisions that we make. What's up, Deborah? Good morning. Appreciate you guys rocking and hanging, being here. Just a quick side note, make sure you share. Sharing is caring. Tag somebody. As you can see, it's just me, just me in the building. One man, one mic, like my wife said, one man, one mic. So I know it's weird. It's just me. So Sam said, do you teach your son accountability? Yes. So you teach them responsibility as far as what they should do. Then you teach them accountability, because then you hold them accountable for the things that he's not doing, or even the things that he has done. You have to, so that it's in his mind to do without you having to be there. So you have the responsible part of it. Like, you understand this is what you're supposed to be doing. And then you have the accountable part of it when you know that this is the things that is part of their responsibility. So if it's not done, you have to hold them accountable for getting it done. And like I said, as the man in the household, it's your responsibility to hold those that have certain responsibilities accountable. So yeah, definitely that accountability factor. And I truly believe if you're not teaching your son accountability, that's where we become men, and that falls through the crack, because no one's holding them accountable for their actions or the things that they're taking care of. And it's, or maybe they don't want to be accountable anymore, but as a man, every man needs someone to hold them accountable. There needs to be someone in their life that can check you. I'm 100%. I truly believe that. And I've been to churches where, and I know I'm going to the church where pastors are just out there doing whatever, and there's no apostle, no bishop, or someone holding them accountable, and they make such crazy decisions, and there's no one to like, hey, you ever, should you be checking? Good morning, Keita. Good morning. All right, Sam says, should a woman have accountability as well? Yes. Yeah. It's across the board. Of course, because I'm on here with the brothers and the men and holding us. But yeah, everywhere. And, in the household, a lot of times the, hey, how's it going? A lot of times in the households, the husband may hold the wife accountable, but she needs accountability partners outside of that, because, if the wife and husband are going through, there needs to be someone that can kind of check her on her actions in a disagreement. Like it's harder for me to say something when we're the ones going at it, or having an issue or problem. But everybody should have someone holding them accountable at every level, at every stage, at every part of your life. When you move, at least someone that you can call, vent, and they can like, hey, and check you on things like, I hear what you're saying. I understand how you're feeling, but you was wrong. Just straight up, you was wrong. You need to apologize. You need to eat this one because you was out of pocket. So I truly believe everyone needs some level of accountability. Absolutely. Really, Richard? 83%? That's an exact number, Richard. He said absolute woman. Oh, man. Yeah. It said being a man means to have masculine traits to balance out the women's feminine traits. Yeah, there's a lot of balancing that comes. But we as men need to lead and be responsible for most of what happens. Speaking of the man, I'm gonna take a quick break, and guess what? One man, one mic won't be happening. We got my brother, Pastor Brian McCory, coming through. And give us 1 second, and and we'll be right back after this. This episode is brought to you by StreamYard. Ready to go live? Go to bit.ly/StreamYard BOL. That's bit.ly/StreamYard BOL. This episode is also brought to you by Self. Build credit now. Go to bit.ly/now build credit. bit.ly/now build credit. What's up, Pastor Brian A. McCrory?
Morning. Hey, family. How's everybody?
Yes, all is well. All is well.
Good.
All right. As you can see, we're talking about what does being a man mean. I was kind of busting out some of the, I would say some of the traits or some of the things that we as men should be doing or responsible for, or some of the characteristics anyway. So my work, responsible, being accountable. And I was really stuck on, I was really harping on the accountability process or part of it. And its importance because, you know, I think one of the things as men we lose is that accountability part. And where that's the part I think a lot of us go off the rails when someone's not holding us accountable. And then I was talking about, you know, pastors or churches I've gone to, and for the most part, they've opened up the church because they were mad at the other pastor and they knew they felt like they can preach. And listen, Pastor, I don't know. Me and Sam had read. We were like the magnets to those kind of churches. Like, how did we end up in another church? Like, you know, because you know, we came out of church. I got Church God in Christ, where you know there's always a bishop or a structure, and we just like, who called you pastor? Like, who laid their hands on you? Who's checking you? You know, like, you know, they start making decisions like, is there somebody checking you? Like, and checking on you or helping? Yeah, like I always used to run, like every church is like, you just popped up. You know, they like, you know, they was charismatic, they were great, but who, you know, we get months into it, you're like, who gave you that title?
Well, that makes me feel proud because y'all are listening to me.
Yeah. Yes, pastor is under.
Thank you, Lord.
Under it, yeah. Because because it's even in your household, you know, like you just running crazy and no one. He said he's gonna pray for me. Hey, listen, I found Pastor McCoy. We're good. He got someone holding him accountable. Oh, let's see. There you go, Willette. It seems being a man historically has never included being the holistic man. Why does it seem like men are taught how to be a man with provision, accountability, physically, etc., but not so much when it comes to the heart of the emotional, holistic part of being a man? The emotional, holistic part. Wow. Interesting.
Yeah, there's a lot to that. You know, and really, I think it really depends on. I think it's a relative disposition.
Right.
Sometimes we are limited to what our experiences have been.
Right.
And I don't feel like everyone's experience is that. I would say that there has been historically a lot of attention paid to the emotional disposition or lack thereof when it comes to being a man. Right? I don't think it's that men are not emotional. I think that the perception is displaced when it comes to emotion of a man. Because a man gets angry, a man gets happy, a man gets glad, a man is sad. He's all of these things.
Right.
And you see them, they're all visible. You can see a man go through all of these emotional shifts.
Yeah.
The question is, how effective are you all at communicating what you're feeling?
Right.
Because it's not that he isn't emotional. It's just that you don't have the answers or you don't know what's driving the emotion.
Right.
That's a lot of it.
Yeah.
Right. So that's it. I mean, it's a great perspective. It's a great position or question or point. But I want to make sure we understand where the problem lies, because it's not that men aren't emotional.
Right.
Sometimes it's just difficult to communicate what drives the emotion.
True.
Is that, let me know how, okay, so you do agree
Sense.
with that? Will that, okay.
Awesome. So yeah, I think it's translating those emotions, or it's translating, and I think it's being able to share, and not feeling weak in the sharing of your emotion. Like I feel like, especially even with my wife, I think it was just like, do I share it all? Like, do I show that I'm super vulnerable at this moment? Like, going into something, like, do I tell her, like, listen, I may be jumping up and handling, but I'm scared. Like, like, you hear the bump in the night, like, I know I gotta go, but I'm nervous. Like, I'm hoping there's nothing out there. Like, I'm hoping I ain't got to deal with something, when I open the door. I'm hoping that a situation doesn't escalate to where, you got the adrenaline flowing, but it's just like, I really don't want to have nothing happen, like, so it's being honest about the fear, like, do I tell her that I'm really nervous about this part? Do I tell her, and if I share, is it going to take away from how she feels about me? You know what I'm saying? I've had that in my head, like, man, if I tell her I'm scared to get up on the stage, if I tell her, handling this situation, like, I'm nervous, like, I know where we're going, like, I have the vision, I've seen it, but I'm still nervous about where we're going. Like, I don't know what to expect. Like, yes, I'm confident that we go in this direction, but I'm nervous because this ain't perfect. Like, like, even God showed me, he said, where we going? But I don't know what's going to happen on the way there, like.
Well, yeah. And I think you're saying something, man. A lot of times the earlier point of translation, a lot of things get lost in translation. Right. You can watch a man on a commercial and he give you a 3-point plan to make it happen. Right. But because when you get home, your man did not express the 3-point plan, you think your man does not have one. Right.
That's good.
And oftentimes we get confused in comparison. You read a good book, and then you go and compare what's in the book to what your man is doing, and now your man doesn't look like he has a clue. Right? You listen to a professional speaker, and you come home and your man is taking the garbage out, and you're like, "Oh Lord, what have I ended up with?" Right. I'm serious. And,
right. That's good.
Don't confuse a prepared message with the development of a plan.
Right.
Woo.
Yeah.
A lot of, and we get lost in comparisons. You confuse someone who has prepared a message to present to the world with your man who's developing his plan. Right. So I think that a good man, the marks of a good man, is one who does try and analyze, who does try to research or think about what he wants to do in life, and he's working on that. He may not have all the answers, but he's moving forward. Right. A good man is a moving man. A good man is a progressing man. He's moving forward. He may not be moving forward at the pace you'd like him to move forward. But you can't control his pace. But what you can do is encourage him. Right. You can push him. The Bible says, provoke one another unto good works, because his success becomes the village's success. That's the reality. So I think a lot of that stuff is translation. We create complexities. We find confusion in comparisons, and I think that's unfair. But I also think it's unfair for a man to not share his thoughts with his woman. There are insecurities that men have. I have lived with these insecurities, things I wanted to say but didn't want to say because I didn't know what the response was going to be. Or I had an expectation of what the response was going to be based on responses to other stuff. Right. Went off about this. I'm not even gonna tell her.
I ain't said nothing about this other thing. Right.
And now you look disingenuous. You're starting to look deceitful.
Right.
You're telling her everything, and now she's questioning your behavior and all that kind of stuff. And let me sum it all up. Women, it's y'all fault. Y'all won't let us talk.
Oh man.
I mean, what I'm doing is I'm validating the fact that men do have emotions, and you have to begin to understand how your man thinks, how he operates, and all of that.
I know she was coming. Just a little delay.
The trigger phrase to go pull it out. I'm just kidding. So yeah. So good men are men in motion.
Right.
Men in motion.
Yeah. Right. They're going right there. When in doubt.
The law of first mention. The first time a man was caught wrong, it was Eve. It was that woman you gave me. That woman you gave
me. That is funny. Oh, so let's see. She said I'm taking good old notes. So yes, it's that emotional part. It's a growth thing. It was, especially for me, like I didn't, tapping in. I had them, I dealt with them, but you don't hang around your boys like, hey brother, I'm feeling a little depressed today. Like I'm a little scared today. We probably had emotions when things were happening. We probably all felt the same thing, but we never discussed it. You never talked about it. When up against things that we know we're afraid of, we didn't talk about it. Other than physical scars, like you would break something or scrape something, but you never discussed your emotion. We never had those conversations. I don't know. It just wasn't the most manly thing to do or manly, like, you didn't discuss it. You just kind of swallowed it and dealt with it. Or if someone said it, you'd be like, yeah, you'll be all right. you get over it,
Yeah.
So yeah, it's we're not, like, that's just not our first go-to a lot of times, so it takes a while for us to learn to really be able to have that discussion with those that are closest, those that are sharing our journey, and bringing the guards down. Like it took me a while to really, really open up to Sam. Like we was together for a long time before I really was able to, emotionally really open up. Like I kept being guarded. And it's crazy. Like I think about it, like how guarded I was, because I don't know, my fearfulness of being too vulnerable,
but it's learned behavior.
Yeah.
Right. I would imagine that you didn't see that in your father. You didn't see the vulnerabilities of your dad. So you didn't see the example. Right. And I'm not assuming. I'm stating that because in most cases it's learned behavior.
Yeah.
Right. I didn't have a man in the house when I was growing up.
Right.
I came under the leadership of a woman, a single female.
Right.
And so I never had an issue with communicating. Sometimes I get in trouble. I've gotten in trouble for telling too much. Right. Gotcha. Anybody who knows me knows I don't bite my tongue. I talk about it. I'm putting that out there. And not everybody really wants to hear that from a man.
Right.
Sometimes it works against you, and the behavior becomes, ooh, let me not say anything because I've been told I talk too much, or I put too much out there, or people use your information against you. Because what I've learned in my life's experiences is you're giving people ammunition to use against you. Anything you say can and will be used against you in a court of
of opinions,
come back to me. My vulnerability just come back and be thrown in my face. Right. And that can shut you down.
Yeah, definitely. 100%.
You go from telling it all getting
Not
it put in
saying
your
anything.
face to not telling anything, and now you don't want to talk anymore. You used to talk to me
Right.
all the time, now you don't talk anymore. You know,
Right.
so men go through that stuff. I'm telling you, I've
Yeah.
seen this stuff happen on
Right.
a time and time again. You know,
Right.
when I tried to talk to you, you put me
Right.
down.
Right.
When I tried to share with you, you made me feel weak.
Right.
Now that I
Right.
don't talk, you think I'm living a lie.
Right.
So we, you know, so
Right.
there's
Right.
work to do on both sides, and you can
Yeah.
never be afraid. But I think these are a lot of the things that happen with us in our families, in our relationships, because your family will use your business against you at the
Right.
drop of a dime. You know, in front of other family, we think that because
Right.
we're all together, it stays
Right.
here,
It's
but it can
fine.
still be
Right.
hurtful. It can still
Yes.
make you feel ashamed, even though
Yes.
you're with your cousins.
Right.
You
Right.
know,
Yep.
and we miss that. We think all of that is Vegas. What happens here
Right.
stays here.
Is it
You know,
right? Right.
yeah.
Right. Right.
All things are lawful, but not expedient. You might be within your rights to say it, but doesn't mean it's going to help your situation. It's not going to
True.
help your cause.
True.
So I think, you know, communication is key. So you know, we're talking about what does being a man mean, and I think we're flowing into the interrelational aspect of men and women, and I want to try to pull back to what your original topic is. What does being a man mean?
Yeah.
Right? Because
Yeah.
it's one thing to talk about just being a man. It's another thing to talk about being the male component of a relationship.
Okay.
So in which aspect are we looking at it? Are we talking about, you know, the total man? Are we talking about a husband? Are we talking about a boyfriend? You know, are we talking about a father?
So
You know?
right. It's more encompassing all of that. And you know, you're right. Like there are different parts to it. You know, with the total man, as far as going from, like, so we've been on the school track of raising our of raising our children. We're talking about that, like raising our children. going from sorry guys, inside joke right now, but I'm going from children to manhood, you know, or boys to men, and having the traits.
My bad.
Being able to going from, you know, boyhood to manhood, and what does developing, you know, into that husband, into that community leader, you know, into that CEO look like? You know, what does it mean to really, what basic traits do we need to have across the board, to be effective in this position, you know, becoming a father, you know, because they kind of all run together in a sense, you know, the same kind of characteristics that make you great here can make you great here, can make you great here, you know. Integrity works all across the board. Being accountable works all across the board. And I didn't get to it. It's crazy. I didn't write that down. I give you that, Willette. The emotional part of it as well. You know, the vulnerability, even, you know, being open to your children and things of that nature. You know, and so they can see it. So your boys can see it. You know, so, you know, my son has probably seen a lot of different emotions, and I'm hoping enough to know that it's okay to be vulnerable. You know, it's okay to show emotion or discuss your emotion or how you're feeling. So yeah, that's my prayer. Like, that he sees, you know, he sees a lot of our interaction between me and my wife. So, my wife and I. My prayer is that he's getting it in. You know, he's understanding the responsibility. Of course, he sees the work part, because that's the main thing you see. Like, that goes to work. He's providing. He's taking care of. You know, taking of the trash, the manly parts. You know, but also the emotional parts. That part of the man. You know. You know, sometimes in my face is like that. It look like something's wrong. You know, I can see it in your face, Dad. That something is wrong. You know.
Yeah, you know, it's, you know, when you see the makeup of a man, I think you see someone who was comfortable in their own skin.
Right.
But recognize they're imperfect.
Right. Right.
Confident and still unsure.
Right.
Right. Bold and humble.
Right.
Meek. Right. I think those are some of the marks of a good man. He's smart but not high-minded.
Right.
If that makes sense.
Right.
He's supportive, but also challenging.
Right.
You know,
right.
I want to support you, but I also want to challenge you to keep pressing forward. I think that a good man is in touch with his feelings, but not to be mistaken with being weak. Soft, but not weak.
Right. Right.
Is a good man.
Right.
I just try to think of things that sometimes are misconstrued, right? I think that a good man is one who can hear, but also listen.
Yeah. Right.
Right. He can empathize and sympathize.
Right. Right.
Right. Those are marks of a good man. A good man, I think, is funny. He can make you laugh.
Right.
Right. Some of my greatest achievements, greatest accomplishments are making my wife laugh to the point of her eyes watering.
Right. Right. Right.
Right. When you can make a woman laugh from her belly.
Right. Right.
You know,
right.
That means you're reaching, you're connecting with someone. A good man can connect with people.
Right.
I think that I mentioned walks in confidence, but not in cockiness.
Right.
He understands what being a protector is.
Right.
A good man covers those that he loves, those that he cares for.
Right.
You ever seen those videos where it's a funny video where somebody scares a couple, they jump out and scare a couple.
Yes.
And the man pushes his woman out front and he runs away.
Right.
Right.
Yes.
You talked about getting up in the middle of the night when there's a sound in the middle of the night.
Yes.
My family knows that if something is going on in the house, I'm going to move. I'm going to get up and move towards the problem to see what it is.
Right.
But that's not without being concerned or being nervous about what it could possibly be.
Right.
But I think the comfort is them knowing that I'm going to do something about it. I'm going to go see about it. Yes. I'm not waiting on anybody.
Right.
I'm not going to send anybody.
Right. Exactly.
So I think all of that works together. And again, this is the Book of Brian. This is just my experience. I'm just trying to reach into my coffers, my mental coffers, to pull out things that I feel are innate with who I am.
I laugh because there have been moments when all of us are like in the bedroom, the kids, AJ, Alexis, and Sam, and me, and the noise will happen, and I turn to AJ. I'm like, "All right, AJ, go find out what that was," and he looked at me. So I was like, "Come on, man, it's time."
That's good. It's good.
It's time, Oh, but yeah, it's that's important. That confident but not cocky. Yeah. And that covering. And I know we're gonna have a whole another week of that too. I think some of the topics are really gonna be revisited. The covering part of it, covering those that you love, and being there, and just understanding what that means. Like another thing, like you see it, like I've seen it kind of like my dad, the covering part.
Yeah.
But really having an understanding of what covering means,
Yeah.
Covering your family.
I think we forget that you know, a good man is not a picture. A good man is an image.
That's good.
Right?
Yeah.
Ladies, I
Definitely.
need y'all to, oh, thank you, Willette. Somebody say something, please.
Yeah.
Oh, amen. Wonderful.
Yeah.
Glad you're getting something, Willette. That's a blessing. I was going to say, where the women at? Say something, talk back to us, y'all.
So I was reading Sam's Camp. She said, right, women have to roll out the red carpet for our men, and then protect their vulnerability and confidentiality and understanding. So,
but you know what, Samantha, that's a human thing,
right,
not a woman thing.
Right.
Because men
Right.
have to do the same thing
Yeah.
for their women.
Definitely.
You know, I have to roll out the red carpet for my woman.
Right.
And still protect my vulnerabilities. I mean,
Right.
not anymore. I mean, my wife been together over 20 years, so
Yeah.
you know, she don't care. I don't mean that in a negative way.
Yeah.
I don't mean it in a negative way. We've grown to the place to where I don't have to be concerned about my, or at least we shouldn't be concerned about being vulnerable with one another.
Yeah.
Definitely. Nobody is perfect.
Right.
You know, I still find out even today, after over 20 years of being together, I said it wrong. It still happens.
Right.
You know, my wife can mean well, but she can say it wrong.
Right.
You know, and we have to have room in our lives to overcome somebody saying it wrong. It's one thing to have a mishap in a conversation strain, as opposed to something different where there's a pattern of behavior that should be dealt with.
Yeah, definitely.
You know, so those are the things that I think about. I'm just being a smart.
Keep just soaking it in.
Well, look, you know, we come from the church. Every now and then we need an amen.
Right. It's quiet in here. It's quiet in here.
Talk to me, somebody.
Am I losing it? Still got you here, you know.
A good man is a positive leader, protective, and cares for. Absolutely.
Sure. Yeah.
Especially those in his house.
Right.
You know.
Right.
But yes, that's absolutely correct. A good man is a cover.
Right. And that covering, I think, is one of the main things. Like I'm teaching my son, you know, like to cover his sister and cover his mom when I'm not there. I'm like, all right, son, I need you to at least watch the house, you know, be the alert, you know. I can't expect you to do a whole lot. There are times when you know, the bug moments and Alexis go talk about AJ won't kill it. so yeah, it's those moments. What's up, Cheryl? Good morning. Good morning.
I used to say, as a child, you grow up saying, "Oh, I want to be a fireman."
Right.
You know, and I found out that a good man is a fireman.
Mm-hmm.
Because when the fire in the house is raging out of control, a good man will be the fire extinguisher. Right. He knows how to put the fire out.
True. So
a good man is a fireman.
Yeah.
He knows how to put the fire out.
Right. I think
bring resolution to a conflict.
Right.
Bring order where there is disorder.
Yeah.
You know, I heard a testimony. I forget what song it was. It's been for 20 years, where 2 or 3 boys were fighting out in the front yard. Brothers were fighting in the front yard, and the mother couldn't get them to stop fighting. And then one of the brothers looked up and saw his father standing in the doorway. And when they noticed the father standing in the doorway, the father never had to open up his mouth. Just his presence caused them to straighten up and get right.
Right.
And the message was, things change when the father steps on the scene.
Yeah.
You know, so a good man can shift the atmosphere.
Right.
When he steps on the scene, when he steps into a room, he can shift the room. And that's what I have tried to be. One greatest concern that I have, and I say this to my family, is that if there is no change in disruptive behavior, when I speak, then something is wrong in the house.
Right.
Something is very wrong. I don't believe that as a father, as a provider, as a cover, I shouldn't have to raise my voice in my house. The moment I start speaking, everything else should stop.
Right.
That's not being cocky. That's being a man.
Right.
That's being a shepherd.
Yeah.
Right.
Right.
When God speaks, everyone listens.
Right.
I'm not God, but I am the father of my home.
Right.
Right. I'm the Lord of my house.
Right.
So when I speak, everything else needs to cease.
Right.
And some people may feel like, ooh, no, you just got a power problem. Well, thank God you're not in my house. Right. Because, Jack, one of the greatest phrases from Jack Nicholson is, you want me on that wall.
Right. Right.
You need me on that wall.
Right.
You want all of my power. You want all of my authority.
Right.
In your defense when it comes to defending you.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
But you don't want it when it comes to checking you.
Right. Right.
And that's a problem.
Yeah.
But again, you have to be the type of man that garners that level of respect.
Right.
In your home. You have to be walking something out.
Yes.
In order
that's
to do
the key
that.
right there. Yes.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely.
You can't just walk in the house.
Much is required. Because that you get that by not pounding your chest. You get that by humility and power under control.
Yes. Yeah. It's developed, it's learned, it's a foundation, and I want to make that clear. Like, some folks, it just doesn't happen. It's learned. The kids know because they've seen you.
Right. You don't get this because you're a male.
Right.
You get this because you're a man.
Right. Yes. And you've been handling business, and the wife respects respects your authority, and gives you the and never challenges you like in front of everybody, so your authority sits. And even because there are moments, even my wife, she may not agree, she lets the word go across, and we'll talk about it later, and she's like, babe, either that was hard, or I don't totally agree with that punishment, or but
disagreeing with your man publicly is not a good look.
Not a good look. And then because then if you decimate the highest authority in your home, then how do you bring peace into it? Now it's even harder to get peace. And I truly feel, a man walks into a home, peace should just kind of begin like, oh, dad's home. And there have been times I'll come in and my wife's like, these kids today. I was like, all right, I got it. So it's but it's set by being disciplined. It's set by being an example and consistent. It doesn't happen overnight. It takes time. And as a man, it just you have to set the standard, and it's being the lead servant. So that's where the respect comes from, being the lead servant, and everyone understanding, from how you're humbled, but you're still leading. And it just, I don't, not to never get that twisted, because sometimes men think that I'm just supposed to rule from the highest authority, but never do anything. You're the lead servant when, just like when God said, yo, Adam, what's up, son? What? You ain't supposed to eat from the tree. Like you weren't, if he knocked it out of hand, our whole history would been different. Oh, I got her. Let me get you another.
Yeah. I mean, we are where we are. Not Sheila, because Eve took of the forbidden fruit. We are where we are because Adam wasn't on duty.
Right. Exactly. Threw everything out of whack. So yeah, that is definitely key. So today is just part one of what does being a man mean. Tomorrow we're going to dig into our personal journeys in manhood and things that we learned and some of the stumbles and falls. We might have one of our cousins of legacy coming through. So definitely appreciate you guys being here and rocking with us and hanging. Make sure you join our text community so you never miss an episode or a broadcast. Text LWN to 84576. Text LWN to 84576. And that was like, yeah, the woman you gave me, right? You gave me this woman.
Wasn't me.
It wasn't right. It wasn't me. Oh man. All right. So thank you, Mama Corey. I appreciate you. So thank you guys for being here. Look forward to seeing you guys same time, same channel, same place. Like I said, join our community so you never miss an episode. And we look forward to seeing you guys tomorrow. So as always, stay safe, be blessed, know that we love you, but God loves you more. Time out. So I'm gonna play.
Happy birthday, Lady McCrory.
Happy
birthday to my wife. What kind of man would I be if I didn't give a shout out?
Yes, indeed.
To that woman. My wife has a birthday today. So any of you all that are connected to her on social media, please go give her a shout out.
Yes.
Tell her happy birthday.
Yes.
Don't ask her age. I'll tell you.
Right.
56.
Nice.
Today.
Nice.
Happy 56th birthday to my wife.
Yes.
Amen. Thank the Lord for a new day, new season, new elevations, new levels, new expansion, new increase, new purpose. It is happening. I told her this morning that everything God has for you is already done. Let me close out with this. I saw something. This thing hit me like a ton of bricks. Some of y'all may have seen this. I forgot who, I don't remember who said it first, but you ever notice how someone can write you a check and you go deposit the check in the bank. And if it's small enough, the funds are available the same day in the bank.
Right. Right.
But if it's big, they will put a hold on it.
Right.
And you ask, well, why is there a hold on the check?
Right.
And they tell you because we want to make sure that the funds are available when we release it.
Right.
Right. And I shared this with her that the promises of God are yea and amen.
Right.
I told her the check has already been written. It's got your name on it. It's just been on hold. And the check has been on hold because God was waiting for the resources to be there so that when he releases it, you'll know what to do with it.
Right.
I shared that with her. Some of you all need to understand that you already have your name on the promise. It's already established. God heard you. It's just been on hold because God was waiting for you to get to the place that once he releases it, you can cover, manage, control, hallelujah, what he wants to release into your life.
Amen.
God didn't miss you. It's just been on hold waiting for you to get to a certain place.
Right.
And now that you're there, God says, I'm getting ready to release this thing so that you can move to your next level and do the things that you've been waiting to do. It's just been on hold. But God says it's time to release because you're in that space. Watch what God does when he releases that thing.
Amen. All right. We out. That's it. As always, we love you. Know that God loves you more. Stay safe. Thank you guys for hanging. Make sure to share. Sharing is caring. All of my replay peoples that watch in the background that I know see.